Start the And so very warm welcome to everyone to our webinar today on ATLAS.ti web. My name is Ivana Radovojevic, and I'm the project manager here with ATLAS.ti in our Europe office. There we go. And today I have the great pleasure of connecting with all of you to provide this global overview of ATLAS.ti web, our online version of the software. Now I've also put up our contact information here, and so you know that you can always reach out to us if you ever have any kinds of questions. You can always send us an email by writing to training@atlas.ti.com. You can give us a call. You can see all of our telephone numbers on our website, so you can see the telephone number for your country. And you can also chat with us. And so we actually have a live chat directly inside ATLAS.ti web. So we'll see that in just a few minutes. But so you have all these different ways that you can always reach out to us. And so, please do count on our support. If you ever have any questions or doubts, we'd be happy to help. So I'd like to begin by just briefly saying, what is ATLAS.ti? What is it that we're looking at here today? And well, ATLAS.ti is a computer-assisted qualitative data analysis software. Or in other words, this is a tool that we as researchers can use to facilitate our analysis of any kind of qualitative data. So ATLAS.ti won't do all of the analysis for us, but it is a really powerful tool that can accompany us throughout the entire research process. And it can certainly make our analysis a whole lot easier. And in some parts, it can even do some analyses for us. But certainly by counting on ATLAS.ti, we can carry out a more organized and transparent and integrated analysis. It's a great tool if you're working in teams because it just makes it so much easier to collaborate with others. And you can also even combine qualitative and quantitative analyses. So ATLAS.ti has been around since 1989. And today we count on version 22 of the software. Now, in the past few years, we launched ATLAS.ti web, this online version. And so each of the different platforms of ATLAS.ti, they were natively designed to optimally function on that platform. And so ATLAS.ti web is a completely new kind of version of the software, and everything's designed to work online. You don't have to download and install any program to your computer. And so we're really excited to offer this as well. And another piece of good news is that if you do ever purchase an ATLAS.ti license, you'll have access to all the platforms. And so you can get a license for ATLAS.ti desktop and web. And then you can always choose if you want to work online or if you want to work in the Mac version or the Windows version. But we can also even move our projects across these platforms. So you really do have the flexibility to choose wherever it is that you prefer to work. So another good thing to know is that when you do get a license for ATLAS.ti, our licenses always include full functionality. This means that it's a one-time purchase and you get the whole software. You don't have to pay extra to unlock some other tools or features. Everything is included right there. Now, if you'd like to get started with ATLAS.ti today, then you can certainly download or begin the free trial version. And so the free trial gives you unlimited access for 5 days. And these are 5 days that you actually enter and use the software, not 5 consecutive days. But you can already start your project there and get a feel for ATLAS.ti. And then when you get your own license, you can activate that and then continue working on that same project that you started. And so as I mentioned, we have licenses for desktop and web, so you get access to all the platforms. But if you prefer to only work with ATLAS.ti web, then you can also get a web-only license. And so our desktop licenses are based on a yearly subscription, while the web-only licenses are a monthly subscription. So if you just want to use the online version, then you can certainly just get that license. But if you do get a license for desktop and web, then all of you can count on a 10% discount coupon. And so you'll just enter this code, and then you'll get 10% off of any of our desktop and web licenses. Now, aside from the licenses, I also wanted to mention that we have a great variety of learning resources that you can explore. We offer free webinars all year round, and we can even provide a free personalized presentation if you and your group are interested. We also have premium trainings where we go into a lot more detail with ATLAS.ti. And so this is if you really want to hone your knowledge. We also have courses on qualitative research in case you just want to learn about qualitative research more broadly. You could always attend one of those courses. And then upon completing the course, you'd receive an official certificate from the ATLAS.ti Academy. But then besides the trainings, we do also, of course, have a lot of documentation online about how to use the software. You also have this available right inside ATLAS.ti. And then we have a blog where we're regularly publishing articles of interest. And then also you can see our different video tutorials on our website and on our YouTube channel. But of course, all this being said, if you do ever have any questions about anything, you can always count on our support. So feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to help. So without any further ado, then let's go ahead and take a look now at ATLAS.ti Web. And so here I am inside ATLAS.ti Web, and this is the welcome screen. From here, we can see all of the projects that we have created. So basically, you'll create a project for every topic of research that you have, and you can create as many as you would like. And so you can either create the project right here inside ATLAS.ti Web, or if you already have a project from ATLAS.ti Windows or Mac, you can import it here. And so then you can move it to the web version and then continue working on it. So let's go ahead and click on a project here so we can take a look. What do we have? So the first page that we're taken to is the document manager. And so ATLAS.ti Web is showing us all the documents that we have here. Okay. Well, what is a document here? Now, documents in ATLAS.ti simply refer to any source of information that we're going to be analyzing. In other words, our documents are our data. And so we can add our text data here in ATLAS.ti Web, and you can just click on Add Documents to upload the files. You can also create blank documents if you want to type or copy paste the content right here. And then we can see all of the data that we have. And so now, for example, then we can click on any document to open it up. So then once we have our data imported, how do we go about analyzing this data? Well, we're going to go through and read the text. And then anytime you come across anything that captures your attention, maybe something that can help you answer one of your research questions, all you have to do is highlight that segment of the text. And as soon as we highlight some text, the coding window appears here on the right-hand side. And so now we can add codes to this, or we can also write comments. So you'll see that any selected segment of text is called a quotation, right? So we're creating quotations when we highlight things. Now we can save the quotation, but a very helpful way to carry out the analysis here is to add codes to this quotation. Now, a code can be simply a word or a short phrase that's describing something we're seeing in the data. And we can create as many codes as we would like. And so certainly I encourage you to add as many codes as you think are relevant when you're coding your data. So here, for example, maybe I'd like to have a code about, let's see here, just to see what this quotation is about. So maybe about reinvention, right? And so then you can type any word or phrase, and then you can either click on the code here to save it, or just press enter with your keyboard. Now we have this code attached. And of course, we can continue adding any codes. And so ATLAS.ti shows us all of the codes that we already have created in the project. So you can also easily add any of those. And as you start typing, then you can also see any code names that match what you're typing. So you can also easily search across your codes. Now, we can go tagging our quotations so that we can start organizing all this information. And also we can write notes on any of our quotations. And so here, maybe we'd like to jot down some ideas or thoughts, why is it that this quotation caught my attention? Or how can this help us answer our research question? Or maybe this raises some questions or doubts in our mind that we want to jot down so we can follow up on this later. But it's through writing and thinking about what it is we're seeing here, why are participants saying this, and by forcing ourselves to put our thoughts into words, then we can really develop a much deeper understanding of our data. So that's why we also have this space here so that we can write our own notes about what it is that we're seeing. And that's it. So we'll go through and highlight the relevant segments of our text, and then we can attach codes and write notes in the comment space. Now, you'll also see here that we do have the option to edit the documents. And so you can enable that or disable that here, so it's probably best to keep it locked if you're not editing the document to avoid accidentally deleting anything. But in case you do need to do any formatting, you see you can do all that here. So you can, of course, edit all of this and structure your data as you need. And so we can go through reading the text to analyze things, but maybe we also have some keywords that we're interested in, and we want to see whether these appear in our text. And so if we want to search for any word, then we can click on this magnifying glass here at the top, and then also type any word that we're interested in. And then ATLAS.ti tells us how many times the word appears, and it's highlighted it for us. But what's great about this is we don't have to stop here. We can click on this drop-down arrow and add any additional search terms. And so ATLAS.ti automatically suggests some synonyms. Or we can just type up here and add any additional words that we would like. And so that way we can search for multiple words at a time. And then we can save these results by saving them as quotations. And so we can click here and tell ATLAS.ti what size quotation do we want to create. For example, I like to have the whole sentence where the word appears. And then we can attach a code to this. Maybe I'll write a note that these are the results of automatic coding. And so now ATLAS.ti has added all of these codes and saved all of these quotations where it found those words. So we can always also very easily search for any words across our text. Another really great tool that we have here is sentiment analysis. And so we can use this tool if we're interested in analyzing what kinds of feelings our participants are expressing. And so again, we tell ATLAS.ti what size quotation we wanted to create. And then ATLAS.ti goes through and identifies all the different sentiments that are being expressed. And now at the top, we just tell ATLAS.ti which codes we would like it to attach to each of these sentiments. So here I do have codes already created. And so then we'll just select those and we can also code those. In this way, ATLAS.ti is also automatically going through and helping us with our analysis because it's already putting these codes together for us. And so then we can easily see how participants feel about something and where this is coming up. And so these are just some of the tools that we have here that can help us out. And so if we click back, or we can also click on the document icon here, we go back to the document manager to see all our data, and we can open another one and continue analyzing. But let's take a look at what else we have here in ATLAS.ti. So if we look on the left-hand side, we also have a code icon where we can open the code manager. So this is the same idea as the document manager, it's just now we're dealing with codes. And so now we can see all the codes that we created in our project, and you can continue editing them. And for example, you can open the sidebar to see more details on each of these. So for example, you can change the name, the color. Each code also has its own comment space, or rather every individual object in ATLAS.ti has its own comment space. Just like we were writing comments on our quotations before, we can also write comments on any of these as well. And so the code comment space is actually the perfect place to write the operational definition of each code. And so then you can just jot that down here. You can also create groups to organize your codes. So we can also do that here. And we can very easily see which quotations we have attached to these codes. And then what's great with ATLAS.ti, it's always very dynamic and interactive. And so even as we're just reading this quotation here, we can continue coding, writing comments. You can delete it or open it back in its original document. So you have a lot of options here that you can explore. But certainly we have everything in one place. So it makes it really easy to take a look at what we have in our project and what we're finding regarding each code. And so you can explore all that here. And then in case you'd ever like to export this list of codes, you can download your code book right here. And so you can download it to Excel or QDC format, which is a format for importing into qualitative data analysis software. So for example, ATLAS.ti Windows or Mac, although you could also use the Excel format. But so we do have that option there. We also have a quotation manager. So the same idea, but now we're looking at quotations. And so we can see all the quotations in our project. Again, we get this nice overview. We can see more details by opening any of them in the sidebar. And what's also great here is that we have this bar chart that's showing us the frequencies of all of our codes. So we can see how many quotations we have attached to each code. And so this is really great to get a nice global overview. And again, this is all interactive and dynamic. And so, for For example, if we're interested in some particular codes we have here, well, if we click on the bar chart, then ATLAS.ti applies a filter and only shows us quotations with these codes attached. And so then we can see the data that has one of these codes. And so it's another way to explore this. So we can just go through looking at the data like this. And if you want, you can also download this as an Excel file to save to your computer. But we can also save this directly inside ATLAS.ti Web. And so that's what this option here is, to save as a report. And so maybe I say, this is a very interesting combination of codes here, or maybe these are all codes about a particular theme or category. I want to save that. So then we'll save the report. And we can give this a descriptive title, of course. And so then we could say codes of one of our categories. And so we have these reports here as well. Now we have a whole dedicated page for reports. So why don't we take a closer look at this? So it's like another, like all the other managers we have here, except here we can see all the reports in our project. And we can also create reports directly here. So on the one hand, we have this code distribution report. And so this is where you can select codes and then save it. But we can also apply all sorts of filters, so now we can really start querying our data and exploring to see, what do we have here? Maybe we want to search for quotations based on some particular words that they have inside them. Or I want to see quotations that come from a particular document or a group of documents, or quotations that have just been coded with certain codes, or that have something written in the comments. Or if you're working in a team, then maybe you want to focus on quotations that were made by one person or another. So for example, in this case, I am also collaborating with my colleague, Dr. Neringa Kalpokas. And so maybe I also want to see which quotations she created. And I could also save this report. So this is just to show that you have all these different ways to query your data, and you can add as many rules as you would like. And so this way you can really hone in on the different things that you have going on here. And then these reports, they stay saved here, and we can continue adding data, coding data, making any changes. And if it happens that any new data meets our filter here, then they will also appear here right in our report. And so we can see all the quotations created by this person and what codes were used. So the code distribution report is a great way to explore the data and see quotations. And of course, we can also download these results. But we also have another kind of report we can make here, the code document table. So with this tool, we're going to create a table where we cross codes and documents in rows and columns. And then we can see how many times any of our codes appear in our documents. And so this is really great for making global comparisons. So for example, maybe I want to compare what kinds of benefits were mentioned by our participants. But rather than comparing across all of them, I want to compare between the male and female participants, or maybe actually the different positions that we have here. And so what ATLAS.ti is now showing us is that this code appears once in the documents in this group and twice in the documents in this group. So in other words, it seems that our participants who are business managers mentioned this benefit once. It was the only benefit they mentioned, while our CEO participant mentioned this benefit twice, as well as this other one. So with this code document table, we can see across our project and all our data where we have our different codes appearing. And so this is really powerful for understanding overarching patterns or trends. We might notice things that we weren't even aware of while we were actually coding the data. But this lets us sort of take a step back and look at our data from a different perspective. And then, of course, this is all dynamic. So if we click on any part of the table, we can see the data behind these numbers and see exactly what was it that the CEO said here. And then we get these quotations brought up for us. And again, we can save this report here. And also, if we ever want to save these results, we can download them in an Excel file. I'll save, or I should say export. Maybe if you want to include it in your final reports or presentations of your research, or you can attach some reports as an appendix to your research. And so we have all of that easily available here. Now, finally, to write more extensive notes, or to maybe even start drafting our analyses and what it is that we're finding here, then we can use memos. And so we also have a memo manager where we can create as many memos as we would like and write in them. And a memo is essentially a notebook. And so you can use these to jot down any kinds of ideas you have. And so maybe here, this idea of the benefits that were mentioned, and then we can write our notes and thoughts, reflections, use this space to really elaborate on it, maybe even start writing some drafts of our final reports. But we could also use memos just to keep a list of our tasks and to kind of set reminders and do planning, so you can use memos however you would like. And you have these available here for anything that you might want to use to write down. And so with that, we've seen our overview of ATLAS.ti Web. And so all these different parts, so where we add the data, we can manage and organize our codes. We can see all our quotations, our segments of data, our memos where we can create notebooks to write in, and then reports where we can query our data in different ways and start exporting some results. Now in the project settings, you'll find some additional options here. For example, if you would like, you can export an Excel that gives a summary of your entire project. Or also another great feature here is that you can export the project and then open it in ATLAS.ti desktop. So ATLAS.ti for Windows or Mac. And so this is great. And maybe you start your analysis in the web version, and then you decide you want to use some other tools that are available in the desktop version. And so of course you have that flexibility to download the project and then open it there. And then also from the project settings page, you can invite other people to your project. So in this case, actually, I was invited to this project, but when you create a project, you'll be able to see that here to invite people. Let me maybe go to a different project so that we can see what that looks like. And so this is what you'll see when you create the project. And then you can invite anyone that you would like. You'll just enter their email here, and then they'll receive an invitation to join the project. They don't even have to have an account for ATLAS.ti or a license yet. They'll be able to create it when they get the email, and they can start with the free trial version. And so then they can already start working until they get their own license, So the teamwork in ATLAS.ti Web is one of the greatest strengths here, because we're working online. Everything that everyone does is automatically saved and updated. So you do not have to worry about different versions, passing things back and forth, having conflicting copies. So all of that headache is taken care of because we're all directly working on the same project right here. And so then that's certainly a huge help. And then you can even use the comments or memos to write notes to each other and plan things, so then from there you can, of course, carry out your teamwork here. But I definitely recommend ATLAS.ti Web just because we have this live collaboration. And then finally, down here in the right-hand corner is where we can click to find more information. And so if you ever have any questions about anything, you can see here the documentation that we have. And you can also search for anything here, like if you want to know more about exporting reports, but also you can chat with us directly. And so you can choose if you want to do email or chat, but just click here. And then you can type in your questions, let us know what doubts you have, and a member of our team will get in touch with you as soon as possible. And we'll be happy to help. And we provide 24-hour support 5 days a week, so feel free to reach out and then count on our support. And so with that, I believe we've seen all of the main things that we have here at ATLAS.ti Web, but I'm also happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. And so I see we have a question about collaborating with other researchers. And so multiple team members coding the same shared document. And so, yes, I'd be happy to talk more about that. I just now at the end, I just briefly mentioned how you can invite people. But once you have people in the project, so for example, if we go to the home page where we see all of our projects, you can see ones in which you're alone and also ones in which you have multiple people. And so if you're going to be working in a team, you can also click down here to edit your account and add your own profile picture and these kinds of things, and that will also appear. But so this is one thing. So either you invited others or you are invited, but you can always see that here. But in case you want, you can also filter for different kinds of projects, ones in which you're collaborating or ones where you're not. And then when you open any document, You can, I mean, everyone works in the same way as we've been doing this whole time. But it's great. We can see here, there's this picture of Neringa, and it shows us when she made this quotation. And so we can see exactly who did what. Here's one that I made. And so this is a really helpful feature because then you can easily keep track of who's doing what. And then also, we can even click here in case we want to write some notes. And then I can say, hi, why did you add this code? Or what do you think about this? And then it's updated automatically. So they'll also be able to see it. And then they can also write something there. So those are just some tips here for kind of collaborating. One thing that I do think is important is to have a clear teamwork protocol. And so I think a memo is a great space to write that down. And so you could create a memo for your team where you'll write out the different roles of each person, what tasks do they have, what are the deadlines that you need to follow. And so you can have all of that clearly written out because it's important to have good organization with teamwork, to know who should be doing what, because you'll have to make decisions with things like, should everyone analyze every document? Or maybe some people should just focus on some documents, or maybe you want people to wait and take turns, well, I don't know if you would need to take turns on ATLAS.ti web, but you have all of these smaller decisions that you might not think about beforehand, but then when you start working, these are all things that you do need to plan out. And so you could always write that in a memo, and then everyone can easily see that. Another interesting idea is to have another memo that you use as like a bulletin board where everyone can post their messages and ideas. And so, for example, maybe I can say something like, some topics I want to discuss in our next meeting, or even some question I have right now. And then my colleague will come and also write their reply, and they can say what they think. And so in this way, we can even exchange ideas like this, or if we just kind of want to put things here so that everyone can see. So memos might be a nice way to kind of highlight this sort of information. And so that would really be my advice, is just to make a clear plan of who should be doing what, and then take advantage of the memos and the comment spaces to also communicate with one another. But now you know that when someone's invited to the project, they can see everything in the project. So they can see all the data, all the codings, and then you can leave a project whenever you want if you were invited. If you're the project owner, you can block people from the project in case someone leaves the study at some point in the future. You can also remove them from the project. And really, yeah, and that's about it. You have these different roles then. And it's also good to know, I suppose, that we at ATLAS.ti never have access to any of your projects. Only you have access to this. Of course, our data privacy and security is the top priority. So you can rest assured that no one else can see this data. It is safely stored. But then, for example, if you do ever run into some technical difficulty, or you have some complex question of doing something, we might ask you to send us an invitation to your project. And so always, we'll ask you, you will send it to us just by inviting a team member. And then, yes, we might look just something to help you out there. And then, of course, we leave once that's done. That's really the only case in which we would do something like that. But other than that, it's completely your project to invite other people and then carry out some great research together. So I hope that answers your question, but if not, feel free to chat with us here, or also, of course, give us a call or send us an email, and we'd be happy to help. And if you have any questions or any points in the future as well, or even if you and your team are interested in using ATLAS.ti, and you can also request a free online presentation of the software. And so let us know, and we'd be happy to connect with you whenever suits you best, and then go into more detail on whatever topic it is that you're interested in. And so I see we have one more question to round out the webinar. You mentioned downloading the project from web to the desktop versions to use other features. And so what are some of those features that are only available on the desktop version? Yeah, so that's a great question. And you can see this directly. If you click on these three dots in the corner, you can see the ATLAS.ti features. You can also see this on our website. If you go to our website and then product feature comparison. And so here we have a table that's outlining all of the features of both the desktop version and the web version. So you can clearly see the main differences. For example, one big difference is that currently you can only analyze text data in ATLAS.ti Web. So if you need to analyze images or multimedia data, then you would need to use the desktop version. But other than that, you can also see what kinds of tools there are or options for coding. And you can see where they are similar and then where, there's a feature that one has, but the other doesn't. And so, yes, you can certainly look at this table here in case you have any questions. And then, yeah, always, I mean, you can maybe even start with a web only license, right? If you go to our store and maybe you're not sure. So if you want, you can start just using ATLAS.ti Web. And then if in the future you change your mind and you want to use the desktop version, well, after a month, right, your subscription renews, you can cancel it and then get a desktop license and then continue working from there. So you do have that flexibility. Well, great, thanks. So I'm happy I could help. And then feel free to reach out if any other questions do come up. And so then thank you everyone for your time and interest here. It's a pleasure to connect and share about ATLAS.ti. And other than that, I just want to wish you all the best in your qualitative data analysis journeys. So thanks everyone and have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.